Good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Before Coffee. It's Wednesday, so that means we're looking at some wacky things in the news today, and maybe some weird oddities as well. Weird and wacky Wednesday. Don't know what else to say, so let's just get started with the news. Today on Before Coffee. Documents show Putin's order to move the super yacht before Ukraine invasion.
We look at competitors in Britain's bog snorkeling championships.
EU fossil fuel burning for electricity fell to the lowest on record in 2023, data shows.
And Spamalot will not succeed on Broadway again.
Theft of signs at the nature monument exposes conflict on Schiermonikoog.
And we spin the squeal of fortune on today, National Beach Day, August 30th, 2023, on the comprehensive news of planet Earth on Before Coffee. Category 4 hurricane.
We've got a category 4 hurricane. What's the highest it goes? 8?
5.
Oh.
5.
I think I'm thinking tornadoes or earthquakes.
Sustained winds of 130 miles an hour is pretty disgusting. Try to withstand, right?
Yeah, don't go outside.
Yeah. Lots of trees going down in Georgia.
Well, the weather update here in the Netherlands is it's not hot. It's partly cloudy, and there's probably no eventual natural disaster occurring. Sorry, I don't have the same excitement.
Florida is just a natural disaster. Well, it's in Georgia now. Well, to quote a Vicki Lawrence song from the 70s, it's the night that the lights went out in Georgia. You don't remember that. I barely remember.
I wasn't alive. I can't remember something I wasn't alive.
It's the night that the lights went out in Georgia. That was last night.
Our first news story is about rich people doing rich stuff and then invading countries. That's right, Putin moved his super yacht gracefully from Hamburg shipyard before he started a war in Ukraine. This is from Rupert Neat, the wealth correspondent. They have a wealth correspondent at The Guardian. There's a dude going like, what are those super rich people doing? I'm going to make sure I report on it.
I want that job.
Yeah. Well, it might make you angry because they do a lot of stuff that might make
a lot of bribes too.
Yeah. Vladimir Putin moved his $1,000 million or 75 million pound super yacht from a German shipyard to Russia just weeks before he ordered the invasion of Ukraine, according to secret documents released in a new investigation. A Russian anti-corruption organization set up by a jailed opposition leader, Alexei Navalny, claims emails show that the Russian president ordered the urgent moving of the 82-meter super yacht called Graceful from a shipyard in Hamburg, where it was undergoing a $32 million refit by the 1st of February 2022. Photos show the ship being towed out of Hamburg on the 7th of February en route to the Russian exclave Kaliningrad after the shipyard missed the 1 February deadline. They're like, you didn't finish it, whatever. This thing's gonna get bombed at some point, probably, anyways. Just 15 days later, on the 22nd of February, Putin ordered the full-blown invasion of Ukraine. After the invasion, the US, UK, and EU imposed sanctions on Russian-owned assets overseas. Dozens of oligarchs-owned super yachts were seized across the world. The US government's Office of Foreign Asset Control, or OFAC, lists the Graceful as blocked property in which Vladimir Putin has an interest. Graceful, also codenamed Kosakta, or Killer Whale, which features a 15-meter indoor swimming pool that can be converted into a dance floor, is just one of the several super yachts linked to Putin. An email sent to Hamburg's Blohm and Voss shipyard on the 19th of January 2022 said, the owner wants the Graceful to be bought to the Russian Federation on February 1st. Please mobilize an uninterrupted crew, 2 shifts. It continued, Please accelerate all work which may interfere with the graceful sailing out on February 1st. The email said the owner wanted to move the boat to the Russian Federation to complete the works. The owner is not happy with the retrofit. He is dissatisfied with the delays in the construction process. The email from the SCF Group, Russia's largest shipping company, said the work had been expected to take more than a year. The emails are disclosed in a report by the Russian investigation journalist Maria Pevchik, who leads an anti-corruption foundation set up by Navalny. Half of the country is forced to raise money for underwear and socks for mobilized soldiers, and to make trench candles, while the person who unleashed the war spends 3 billion rubles just on repairs and purchases for his yacht, the report states. Putin's largest super yacht, the $700 million Schiermonikoog, it's probably German, has been impounded in the Italian port of Marina di Carrara, which is undergoing repairs. He is also named by the US as the owner of the smaller super yacht Olympia, valued at $22 million. He has 3 super yachts that we know of. One of them is safely in Russian Federation waters, I guess, and the other ones are impounded and should be sold for parts. I don't know, they're not even worth that much. Like, I think if you took a yacht away, like apart, and took all the parts out, the value is in the kind of acclaim of having a yacht, less in the actual parts that make the thing. 100%. It's the same thing with like a Ferrari, right? You're paying for the acclaim of having a Ferrari. The car is made by the same stuff you make other cars with, you know?
Right.
Especially if you're getting a road Ferrari, it doesn't have a freaking, giant engine for racing in there. It has a normal street-safe engine, so like you're not getting some sort of supercar. It's just the talk. But there's your, I guess, wacky news about Putin's yacht.
About his yacht.
Yeah.
He might as well have christened it the SS Moving Target. Bomb this on the side. I don't know. Okay, so ready to spin the Squeal of Fortune? You have that ready?
Yes, I have the Squeal of Fortune. Let me pull it up here. And
Yeah?
I don't know why it's asking me to sign in. Okay.
We ought to do the intro.
Okay. What's the intro? Oh, here we go.
Oh. Hear that?
No, I don't hear it. She should have sent it to me and I could have played it as a soundbite.
Hear that?
No, I'm not hearing any of that. I
Still
think
don't hear it?
Discord is naturally suppressing it, so I don't hear it. Like when I tried to play my ocarina. And then you couldn't hear it at all because the Discord was suppressing it.
You don't hear that at all?
No.
Okay.
It's
no
even
problem.
suppressing your speech because it's like it's something really loud's happening.
Make it stop. He's getting eaten by a whale. Okay. So, ready to spin the wheel anyway.
All right.
Squeal of Fortune. We can both chant it, okay?
Okay.
You gotta get down with the spirit of the show now. Ready to spin that wheel?
You didn't
Ready?
tell me to say it, so I didn't say anything. I'm spinning the wheel. The Squeal of Fortune. There you go.
And our winner is...
Carlos de Oliveira.
Oh, I know that guy.
Carlos de
Very nice.
Oliveira.
Right. Okay. We'll have a story on him in a minute. And in weird news in England, competitors get down and dirty at Britain's Bog Snorkeling Championships. This is from AP with no byline, not even for the picture. So nobody wants to take credit for this story. In London, intrepid athletes donned snorkels and slithered through slime on Sunday during one of Britain's quirkiest sporting events, the World Bog Snorkeling Championships. The annual competition in the tiny town of Landward, Wells, Wales, sees competitors race to compete 2 lengths of 60-yard water-filled trench cut through a peat bog. They can use flippers on their feet, but conventional swimming strokes are banned. Some contestants accessorized their snorkels, masks, and flippers with more flamboyant touches. One carried a giant plastic toad on their head, another had a bathing cap adorned with flowers. Spectators also got in the fun with two wearing pink cardboard boxes proclaiming them to be limited edition bog snorkeling Barbie and Ken. Competitors in the 35th annual contest were hoping to beat the time of the current world record holder Neil Rudder, who won in 1 minute 18 seconds in 2018. There's your bog snorkeling story. Short and sweet on Weird Wednesday.
Yeah, I've always wanted to go to one of those, I forget what it's called, but it's like when you mud thing where you run down a muddy hill. It's also a weird British pastime. Right after the rain, you like run down a muddy hill, and a lot of people fall on their faces and break their teeth. But that's what you do. You just try to run down a muddy hill. Most people don't make it to the bottom on their feet. Let's go with that.
Oh yeah, just running down a hill is dangerous. You can't stop.
And then you slip off the grass, and then you're just sliding on your belly or on your butt. Yeah, but it looks fun. As long as you don't break anything.
Bottom of the hill is full of ambulances.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, you want to do the Dutch story about a good news racing story?
I don't know. I don't have room for that.
Because that one's so short. I'll do it then.
Okay.
And real racing news, like real World Championship racing news, Femke Bol won an astonishing final leg to snatch the gold for the Netherlands in the thrilling women's 4x400 meters on Sunday, the final event of the World Championships. She was the anchor, took the baton in third place, almost 200 meters adrift of the leaders of Jamaica and behind Britain, and was still well adrift of both going to the final straight. Bol, who fell just short of the finishing line in the 4x400 mixed relay in an opening night when Ben won individual gold in the 400-meter hurdles, overhauled Britain's Nicole Jurgen, and then edged Jamaica's Stacey Ann Williams at the line. The Dutch clock 3:20.72. Jamaica's second successive silver came at 3:20.88. And Britain taking the bronze at 3:21.04. The United States women, who had won 7 of the 8 World Championships medals in the last 7 Olympic golds, were absent after being disqualified after a botched baton changeover in the semifinal. So there you go. You have the Dutch national track and field. She won 3 gold medals, including falling down where she won on her 4th, I believe. Or she won 2, she should have won 3. Okay. Your story.
She came back with a vengeance, I guess.
Oh man, you gotta watch it, man. She was down, way down at the last 100 meters,
and she caught up quickly.
Oh yeah, it was just remarkable. You gotta see it. I can't describe it. There's no way she's catching them. Hey, she caught them.
Search your Femke wins gold on YouTube, and you'll find it.
All right.
Maybe I can find it.
There you go.
Actually.
3 minutes and 21 seconds video. You can probably watch it and go, wow. Just watch the last 2 exchanges, maybe. Anyway, your story.
Gold relay. Yeah, I think there's even a short for it. Oh.
She also won the 400 hurdles, I believe. I just read the story. I didn't probably get the details.
This is like an actual.
Oh, you're gonna watch it now? That's my story.
Oh, here we go. Here's a good one. Here's a good one.
All right.
Okay, let me put it on the screen here.
You put it on while you're writing, or you're reading?
No, that's impossible. How am I supposed to read and also put it up? That you're insane. No, we can watch it now. Here we go. This is the glorious winning the 4x4 whatever relay. 4 times 400 relay.
Meter relay.
A Femke, I think is how you'd say in Dutch. So.
They're calling her Femke.
Come under pressure here from Holmes. She's got that
Femke Bol.
Strength, but Holmes is coming.
But they were American announcers. But they were just excited as hell.
Oh no, this is when she fell down.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So can we?
This is the one where she didn't fall down.
As 2 of the best runners for the Netherlands, endurance maestro Sifan Hassan.
Yeah, she fell down on the mixed relay. I guess they have hurdles.
And a few feet away from the finish line on the the opening day of the World Athletics.
On the opening day, they both stumbled and fell right before the finish line. Both two members of the team.
Them
Okay.
people dropped the baton and
So,
it flew over the finish line.
are we doing another
Leading the
story?
Dutch 4x400 mixed relay team.
You told me it was
sitting here-
a glorious thing
I'm
to
sitting here
watch, but
living.
all I'm seeing is... I don't know why, but they're only reporting on the falling, not the actual winning.
I thought you meant mean in real time. He's like, yeah, you should
No.
watch it.
It's okay. All right. Well, you're the one who wanted to do that story. Anyways, next story. EU. It's not that hard to do instantly for me. Let's look at how the EU didn't burn as much fossil fuels in 2023. Probably because of a lot of reasons, but I'm sure the article will tell us why. This is from Ajit Naranjan on The Guardian. The European Union is stoking its power plants with fewer lumps of coal and barrels of oil and gas that has ever recorded, data shows. 27 member states burned 17 less fossil fuels to make electricity between January and June 2023 than over the same period the year before. Probably because also people weren't stuck in their house. A study from the clean energy think tank Amber found. The EU made 410 trillion watts of electricity from sources that released planet heating gases, which analysts say is the lowest level since 2015, the first year for which they have monthly data, and very likely since 2000. The drop in fossil fuel generation was driven by a fall in demand for electricity, as well as some growth in clean power, the study found. We're glad to see fossil fuels down, but in the long term, it's not going to be sustainable to rely on the fall in demand to do this, said Matt Awin, a data analyst at Ember and author of the report. We have to be replacing this energy rather than expecting it to go away and not be used. To try and stop the planet heating, the EU has promised to cut greenhouse gas pollution by at least 55% from the 1990 levels by the end of the decade, and it hit net zero emissions by 2050. To get there, we'll probably have to use less energy but more electricity than it does today. A lot more people heat homes and drive cars with electricity instead of fossil fuels. The report found that the fossil generation in the first half of 2023 fell more than 20% in the 11 EU countries and more than 30% in 5 of them. 14 countries saw their lowest total fossil generation record for the period. In 7 countries, Austria, the Czech Republic, Denmark, Finland, Italy, Poland, Slovenia, and Slovenia. God, I can speak. Fossil fuels burning hit its lowest levels this century. I mean, it hasn't been that long in the century, so it's only been a quarter in, but okay. The findings back up analysis in June from the Center for Research on Energy and Clean Air, a non-profit research organization which showed a clear shift away from the fossil fuel-based power generation in the EU. But even as high energy prices have brought down demand, the EU's reliance on fossil fuels persists, said Petros Katinas, an energy analyst at CREA, a co-author of the report. He said, dependence extends to the external sources as well. Given that a significant portion of the EU's fossil fuels needs are met through imports from third countries, a vulnerability exists. Even a minor disruption in the supply chain could lead to the price hikes and potential energy shortages. The Ember report found growth in solar power continued in the first half of the year, making 30% more electricity than it did in the same period in 2022. Wind generation rose by 5%, while hydropower grew 11% after a shortfall from widespread drought last year. Nuclear generation fell to 4%, but it is set to climb during the year. Several countries broke records for the share of their power that came from renewable sources of energy, the report found. Greece and Romania passed 50% for the first time, and Denmark and Portugal broke 75%. After Russia invaded Ukraine last year, gas prices shot up, and the EU introduced emergency measures to cut demand. With winter also unexpectedly mild, demand for electricity fell 5% in the first half of 2023 compared to 2022. Of course, the winter was mild. We are no longer going to have winter because we are in climate change. We are in global warmth, okay? It has warmed. We have successfully warmed the planet enough that winter is canceled for the rest of the time, unless you live literally in the Nordic countries, and that's it. Because that's the only place that's snowing. Not a single fleck of snow. I didn't even think about snow last year or this year at all. I was like, that's the last. Like, I think 2 years ago, I was like, that's the last snow we're ever going to see, because it was very mild snow. It was not snow, okay? There was...
We're going to get snow just in places where you don't expect it.
Right, yeah, exactly. It's going to start snowing in the freaking Mediterranean or something. That would be wild. The Ember report found some of the drop in demand was down to changes such as using energy more efficiently, but much of the shift was not sustainable or desirable. The report called on governments to build wind turbines and solar panels faster. It also said that they should urgently expand the electricity grid, build more batteries to store electricity, and streamline the process to get permits for clean energy infrastructure. We shouldn't be complacent about the winter ahead, said Awen. You need to keep pushing. This article was updated on the 30th of August, 2023, to correct the EU emissions targets. They are cut from 55% from 1990 levels by 2023 and net zero by 2050, not 65% by 2030 and net zero by 2045. How did you get those numbers wrong? 65 though, that was a 10 number difference in both. Well, actually a 5 number and then a 10 number. Anyways, point is, they need to try harder, because while it looked good for this year, the year isn't even over yet, and they need to keep trying to avoid, because just because people use less energy doesn't mean energy usage is going to go down. People were just out and about because it was one of the first years we could actually do anything.
All right. Okay. Ready for more weird news?
Yeah.
And weird news, Spamalot. Do you remember Spamalot? The Monty Python Broadway play?
That we never got to see, yeah.
Yeah, because it was sold out way in advance. Well, it's coming back to Broadway. Finding Your Grail can be a long... Huh?
And you won't be able to see it.
I will be able to see it. It's coming in October. It'll probably be sold out again. I mean, famously, the guy who played Niles on Frasier, David Hyde Pierce, was the star. He played King Arthur, I believe. Yeah.
Oh.
Finding Your Grail can be a long process. It can begin. This is from vulture.com and written by Jason P. Frank. He's being frank. Finding Your Grail can be a long process. It began in 2005 and perhaps finally happened in 2023. That's what everybody will be hoping for when Spamalot, a loose adaptation of Monty Python and the Holy Grail, makes its grand return to Broadway on November 16th. The Kennedy Center production of Spamalot is coming to the St. James Theater this fall, with previews beginning on October 31st. The last time the show was in the Great White Way, it began a butterfly effect that ultimately resulted in the existence of the iconic, legendary, and intolerable but eminently watchable Che Diaz. So we cannot wait to see what delightful horrors will come about this time around. Josh Rhodes, who has directed and choreographed the Kennedy Center production, is returning for Broadway. I'm thrilled to see Spamalot back on Broadway. Monty Python co-creator Eric Heidel, who wrote the book and lyrics to the show and co-wrote the music with Jean Duprez, said in a press release. More than ever, it seems that we need a good laugh, and it's inspiring to see audience still embracing this, the most happy of shows I have ever worked on. So put the news cycle on rinse cycle and take a couple of hours to relax with the Lady of the Lake, King Arthur, and the knights who say knee, because we are not dead yet. Cue the horns. The principal cast of Spamalot includes several of those from the Kennedy Center production, including James Monroe, Ilga Hart as King Arthur, Jimmy Smagula as Sir Benevere, Michael Urie as Sir Robin, Nick Walter as Sir Galahad, and Leslie Rodriguez Kritzer as the Lady of the Lake. Joining the court as is Ariana Grande's reported new man, Ethan Slater as the historian, and Prince Herbert. Sir Lancelot will be knighted at a later date per press release. So they're still casting Sir Lancelot. So maybe that's my chance. My big break. So there you are. Spamalot back on Broadway. And we can calculate the wind velocity of the unladen swallow. Unladen swallow.
European or African?
I don't know that.
Okay. In my weird story, I don't know if it's weird or wacky, but it's a weird story. Somebody is stealing the signs for the nature monument on Schiermonikoog, which is a island, one of those, those sandbar islands north of the Netherlands. If you don't know them, they're very famous. There's islands that are basically sandbars, right? They're not made from volcanoes, they're made from sand. North in the North Sea, north of the Netherlands, Schiermonikoog is one of them, and the residents of Schiermonikoog are not happy with the manager of the national park. The nature monument. RTV Noord writes this based on statements from a few islanders. They call the nature monument arrogant, inward-looking, and say that decisions are made without consultation. The conflict has been dormant for some time, but was exposed this weekend after 28 signs from the nature monument were stolen. The two men, aged 39 and 36, from the municipality of Schiermonikoog, were caught by the police while unscrewing the information boards. They were arrested and transferred to the mainland. There's a lot of reaction to this action on social media. There's mainly support for the men because the signs are perceived as ugly and patronizing. No consultation. Residents complain that the nature monument does not care about the agreements made at Schiermonikoog became a national park in 1989. By this they refer in particular by the consultative body, which includes representatives of the municipality, the province, the water board, farmers, bird watchers, islanders, and the nature monument themselves. The organ would be bypassed too often, so they, instead of asking the whole council, they would just make decisions and then say, well, we're a natural park, so we make all the decisions. Like, no, we're supposed to be in a council together and make decisions. The whole island is filled with those ugly signs. They should have been discussed with the body first, but that didn't happen, says resident Artie Norman. According to him, there is no support for the content of the signs. The signs state that you must have written permission if you want to organize paid activity or if you want to go into nature with groups larger than 20 people. We live here in the middle of a national park, so I have to ask permission to go with a large group to be allowed to walk in my own backyard. That's not possible, is it? The problem, he says, is that there's no legal basis for the body. It should function on the basis of a gentleman's agreement, but that is no longer possible. The nature monument of Schiermonikoog has developed into an inward-looking organization. It goes its own way. Not only with these signs, there are also other examples. For example, beautiful pines were cut down without consultation, he says. Islander Harm Correct also calls the consultation body a washing nose. That must be in Dutch idiom, because I don't know how to translate it. But maybe not a brown nose. Probably not a brown nose. The nature monument behaves like a kind of feudal ruler here on the island. The organization pretends that it is not the administrator, but the owner of the national park. There is a little affection with the island. Work is outsourced to contractors on shore, for example, that has direct consequences for employment here. The nature monument does not yet want to comment on the fuss. It has to do with a built-up sentiment from the past, and this is about to drop, says area manager Enid Scholtens in an initial response. At the moment, it's completely unwise for us to respond to the media. That will only make the problem worse. We have to solve the problems on the island ourselves, and by that they probably mean heavy-handedly tell them what to do because they don't seem to want to cooperate with the rest of the island. Mayor Ineke van Gent of Schiermonikoog also keeps a low profile. Let's keep a cool head, is all she wants to say about the matter. The signs that have been taken down basically say, they're yellow and they say, from the nature monument, National Park Schiermonikoog. Basically the same, you can't go walking, you must bike on the bike lanes. All
No
dogs
sneezing.
must be on a leash.
No farting.
You must ride your horses on designated horse riding paths, and any activities with a group larger than 20 people must have permission from the nature monument. So, and there's a whole, 20 signs, right? There's a whole pile of signs and a drill bit, and a drill that they used to take it down. That's the picture they took. The police confiscated their signs to go put them back up, I guess. I have no idea. But that's my odd story about people getting angry about living on a natural park since, 1989.
Okay. And Squeal of Fortune news, we look at, we explore the obvious news story that hangs over every day in the United States, the Donald Trump several trials. And he has in several of his trials several co-conspirators. And here's one of them. In one of the cases, the Mar-a-Lago employee classified documents case. In this poor sucker, his name is Carlos de Oliveira. Let's go with that one. This is from Forbes.com, written by one of their staff writers, I imagine. Who is Carlos de Oliveira, the Mar-a-Lago employee indicted with Trump in the classified documents case? De Oliveira was employed as a property manager at Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort starting in January 2022. So this started even after Trump was in trouble. And he's going to jail for him. This is just this poor guy. Okay, before which he worked at several other jobs at the resort, including as a valet, according to the indictment. According to local news station WPTV, de Oliveira's neighbors described him as a longtime Mar-a-Lago employee and a nice guy who kept to himself and played golf. He played golf. According to the indictment, de Oliveira and Nada were caught on a surveillance camera in June last year moving around 30 boxes of documents at Mar-a-Lago. De Oliveira later allegedly spoke to the IT director at Mar-a-Lago and informed him that the boss, in parentheses, wanted the surveillance footage held on servers at the resort deleted. De Oliveira also allegedly helped Nada and several other people load up Trump's boxes on a plane that flew Trump and his family north for the summer. De Oliveira has also been accused of draining the resort's pool in October last year, which resulted in flooding the room that contained several servers holding the surveillance footage. Tried to flood the server room. The Mar-a-Lago property manager has also been accused of making false statements to the FBI while he was being questioned about handling the documents. After the FBI discovered classified documents of Mar-a-Lago in August last year, Nada attempted to gauge de Oliveira's loyalty to Trump by speaking to a valet at the resort. Nada said that someone wanted to make sure that the 56-year-old was good, according to the indictment. The valet responded that de Oliveira was loyal and would not do anything to affect his relationship with Trump. Trump then called de Oliveira and told him that he would get him an attorney. De Oliveira was summoned to appear before the federal court on Miami in January 31st. CNN reports that he will be represented by defense attorney John Irving, whose law firm has received $20,000 in payments from the Trump's Save America PAC. So basically, this poor bastard is going to go to prison to protect Donald Trump, and he still doesn't know it. He still is taking money from Trump's PAC for a lawyer, and he's going to owe Trump the rest of his life, even while he's doing time for Trump. Your story.
Wow.
This poor
I would feel bad
bastard
for him, but I think anybody who sided with Trump, well, I mean, I guess he's a con man, right? So maybe he was conned into thinking he was going somewhere positive in his life, and that's not going to happen.
It doesn't pay to be a sycophant. Sorry. Yep. You might think you're doing the right thing, but you're just going to get screwed by the guy who's going to walk free. You watch. You're going to prison, and Trump's going to go, I'm going to get a suspended sentence, while you're going to be doing time with some guy looking at you across the room, constantly going, you kind of cute.
All right.
Think of that when you're helping Trump. Think of that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, your story.
All right, my story in culture is from our favorite cinephile, Stuart Heritage, who's asking the questions about the great cancellation, why megabucks TV shows are vanishing without a trace.
The writers.
2 years ago, Nautilus was big news, a vast, expensive Disney Plus prequel to Jules Verne's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Nautilus promised to tell the early story of Captain Nemo as he embarked on an epic submarine adventure, seeking revenge on his former captors, the East India Company. A colossal replica submarine was built. Several sound stages on Australia's Gold Coast were given over to it. Hundreds of crew members were hired alongside hundreds of extras. Filming took almost a year. The Queensland government claimed that the series would inject $96 million into the local economy. It looked certain to be a hit. Exciting new big budget spectacle underpinned by a contemporary theme. Based on a legendary piece of intellectual property, Nautilus couldn't go wrong. Except nobody's going to see Nautilus, because even though it's already been made, Disney Plus has decided not to stream it. Clearly, this is unusual. The television industry has a long history of dropping previously announced shows for a variety of reasons. 2004's animated Pope Town was canned by BBC after complaints from Catholics. 2017's The Cops was axed after reports of creator Louis C.K.'s sexual misconduct came to light. And 2021's Ultimate Slip and Slide was cancelled after the crew all came down with a highly infectious variant of explosive diarrhea that can be spread through tainted water.
It was
and
not
it was
called
the
Slip
Ultimate
and
Slip and
Slide.
So yeah.
No shit, God.
Yeah.
Oh,
Not great. That's a totally different show than I was expecting. But Disney Plus has a different reason for getting rid of Nautilus. It was axed as a cost-cutting exercise. In May, Disney Plus announced a content removal plan designed to cut $1.5 billion US worth of content, meaning it substantially reduced the company's value, giving it a lot less tax to pay. So they're avoiding taxes. Haha! Never ever be surprised when rich companies who make billions are like, but I might lose 100 million to taxes? Yeah, God forbid we can build a new road next to your fucking studio. Nautilus is not the only victim. A live-action TV adaptation of the Spiderwick Chronicles was also completed and then axed. Disney isn't the only network to abandon shows that have largely been made, with HBO Max canceling the second season of the feminist porn comedy Minx, just as it was finishing production, only for Starz to buy it, saving it from never seeing the light of day. AMC has also deleted shows with complete and unaired seasons, such as the animated drama Pantheon and legal drama 61st Street, legal drama 61st Street, for similar tax purposes. It pulled the plug on its adaptation of Adrian Seltz's Invitation to a Bonfire Party partway through production. One U.S. sitcom, Chad, was pulled just hours before it was due to air on the U.S. network TBS. Shows are also steadily vanishing from streaming platforms. Earlier this year, Disney Plus removed a range of high-profile titles such as Willow, The One, and Only Ivan, Big Shots, and The Mysterious Benedict Society. Nor is it alone. In a similar move, Warner Bros. Discovery has also removed dozens of shows like Westworld, Raised by Wolves, Gordita Chronicles, Run and Love Life from its platforms to save money, as has Paramount with its Grease spin-off The Pink Ladies and Jordan Peele's Twilight Zone remake. Adding to the sense that all the television is disappearing, the WGA and SAG, or SAG is like what I like to call it, strikes are causing several shows to shut down. That's right, the strike is still going. Don't forget about that.
Don't forget, there's nothing to watch.
Yeah. Season 2 of
no late night
1923,
television.
Season 6 of The Chi, along with Night Court, Emily in Paris, Severance, Silo, and The Stranger Things have all been indefinitely delayed by strike action. During the last writer's strike in 2008, the sort of delay spelled the end for shows such as The Bionic Woman, the 4400, and Caveman. So it's unreasonable to assume that some of the year's crop will fail to return. Obviously, this isn't good for people who make TV shows. Part of the appeal of the streaming service, from a creative standpoint, is that your output is just there. You could reconcile all the years of effort, hard work, and frustration that it took to bring your idea to fruition with the fact that it would be around, on a sub menu somewhere, ready to be discovered. But that's no longer the guarantee, and it must be galling. What is upsetting about this as subscribers is that we have come to see streaming platforms as bottomless archives for everything that has ever been made. After all, the big expense of making a television program comes from actually making it, compared to the cost of hosting it on a website, which, what streaming platforms are, should be negligible. Not only is it horribly cynical of the streamers to kick off shows whenever they need to save a bit of cash, but it creates a lot of uncertainty. If Warner Bros. Discovery gets rid of Westworld, what's next? Game of Thrones? Succession? The Sopranos? It doesn't bear thinking about that. Disney says that it is working to find a new home for Nautilus. Maybe Netflix will buy it, or one of the networks will use it as a space filler when the WGA and SAG strikes continue. But there's no guarantee. When Willow was removed from Disney Plus earlier this year, there was no suggestion that it would be shown anywhere ever again, and the lack of interest shown by the streamers has pretty much sealed its fate. Perhaps Nautilus faces a similar watery grave What a shame.
Oh man.
Yes, and this is why I pirate things. I'll say it now. Because you know who never loses and deletes stuff? Pirating websites. They love uploading the most things you've never even heard of. The freaking rip-offs of the rip-offs. Right? There's
because
there's
nobody's
movies
making a
on the
nickel on
pirate
it.
websites like The Avengers, but like the Avengers if they're Indian and Chinese and Japanese, like all sorts of just random movies you would never ever see in your life that aren't pushed to you by Hollywood. So
because
I'm not going to
Hollywood-
give you a link, but you can find it if you look for it, okay? This
They'll
kind of
make these
action is
movies-
only helping perpetuate wanting to pirate stuff. What did you want to say?
They'll make these movies and they'll hold them hostage because they're not going to make enough money on them. Yeah.
This day in
All right.
history, I guess.
I guess we're ready for this day in history. In 1282, in this day in history, the Aragonese landed in Trapani in support of the Sicilian revolt against Charles I, Avening King of Naples, Sicily, which had begun with the Sicilian Vespers, a massacre of the French. So there's a lot going on there. And in 1800, Gabriel, an African-American bondsman, assembled an army of about 1,000 enslaved people outside of Richmond, Virginia, in the first major slave rebellion in U.S. history. Alerted government officials thwarted the revolt, and Gabriel and others were executed. Slave revolt, this day in 1800. Go slaves! Slavery bad. Slavery bad. 1813, during the Creek War, some 250 frontiersmen were killed by the Red Sticks, a Native American faction, in what became known as the Fort Mims Massacre. Oh, it's a day of massacres today. We had the massacres in the French, or whatever. Okay, anyway.
Not something to be happy about, exactly. Well, yeah, massacre.
Not exactly, because in retaliation, a militia led by General Andrew Jackson, who destroyed 2 Indian villages, and for some reason this guy's still on our $20 bills. 1862, during the American Civil War, the Second Battle of Bull Run ended with a decisive Confederate victory. So it is a day of massacres. 1905, American baseball player Ty Cobb, who became one of the game's greatest offensive players, debuted with the Detroit Tigers. In 1918, Soviet leader Vladimir Lenin was shot twice in an unsuccessful assassination attempt. I don't know if it was unsuccessful because he died a couple years later. He might,
Yeah.
1993, Late Show with David Letterman, which offered an innovative and frequently off-the-wall approach to talk shows, went off the air. No, I don't. Sorry. I'm sorry, the Late Show, it started on CBS. The old NBC show went off the air. Let's do this again. 1993, Late Show with David Letterman, which offered an innovative and frequently off-the-wall approach to talk show format, debuted on CBS. Letterman's previous show, Late Night with David Letterman, had aired on NBC. It's basically the same show, but they couldn't take the licensing stuff that NBC owned with them, right? In 2003, actor Charles Bronson, who's best known for his portrayal of Tough Guys, arguably the architect turned vigilante in Death Wish, died in Los Angeles at the age of 81. In 2815, British neurologist and writer Oliver Sacks, who won the acclaim for his sympathetic case histories of patients with unusual neurological disorders, died in New York at the age of 82 on this day in 2015. In 2021, following a chaotic withdrawal, the U.S. troops left Afghanistan some 7 years after the war and the country had officially ended. Gotta leave sometime. Can't stay there forever. We're just visitors. This featured guest, our featured thing today, historic spaceflight for Guyon S. Bluford Jr. That's right, U.S. astronaut Guyon S. Bluford Jr. became, on this day, 1983, the first African-American to travel into space, serving as a mission specialist aboard the shuttle orbiter Challenger, and later flew on 3 other missions. So that's what happened this day in 1983. Birthdays today. Born on August 30th, 1797, was Mary Wollstonecraft Shelley. And who is she? She wrote Frankenstein. That's who she is.
Of course. The inventor of sci-fi.
Yep, and 1871, Ernest Rutherford, a British physicist, was born. 1893, Huey Long, American politician, was born. 1908, Fred McMurray, American actor, was born. In 1930, Warren Buffett, who's still alive and kicking at the age of 93. Happy birthday, Warren Buffett, old rich guy. 1954, Alexander Lukashenko was born. So the president of Belarus. It is his birthday. He turns...
The figurehead of Belarus.
What is he turning this year? He is turning 69 this year. 69. Happy 69. Anyway, and on this day, okay, National what day is it? It is International Day of the Victims of Enforced Disappearance.
Ooh.
So that's to commemorate the people who just up and the government didn't like him and they kicked in the door one day and made him disappear. Threw him on airplanes, whatever the hell they did to him. But they never were seen again.
Yeah, we'll never know.
They're obviously not living anywhere.
Yeah, they died. That's all we know.
They're not in Gilligan's Island with the professor and Marianne. National Beach Day is today, which we mentioned. Is also National Toasted Marshmallow Day. So there's something you can do on the beach. Get your marshmallow full of sand. National Grief Awareness Day, which goes with, your parents disappearing one night.
Yeah.
National Grief Awareness Day. There is no way to console anybody for that. International Whale Shark Day, which if they've been eaten by a whale shark, that's another way of disappearing. And that's today's days on August 30th.
All right. Well, we've got an important message on chat right now. They want to know how you trim your beard. Or do you trim your beard and how you do it?
I trim it once a month, whether it needs it or not.
With scissors?
Probably. No, I got a electric thing. I set the blade.
Yeah.
Offset the blade about 2.5 inches and just...
Go at it. There we
go. Make a video. I won't be making a video.
I won't be making a video of your beard.
No way. No.
Your beard.
Here's how I do my nose hairs. Yeah. That's it.
Like it's a 10-second video, with clown music. Yeah.
I have a sheep rancher that comes in once a week with shears.
All right. Well, that's been Allison here from the Netherlands, where we've been talking about how people on the island and are angry at their nature monument being a national park, and they're probably eating s'mores on the beach right now because I don't live on an island and I'm kind of jealous. And it's probably warm up there, warmer than it is here, or it's cold because it's the North Sea. I don't know. And that's the end of our Before Coffee news show here, and we'll see you on Thursday.
And this is Roger going out to the beach and watch the seagulls. That's the only thing that ever happens at the beach. On August 30th, 2023 edition of Before Coffee. Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels, Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.